Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're heading into the wilds, the updated wilds of the 2024 Dungeons & Dragons Druid.
That's right.
We're going to take a really close look at three specific paths: Circle of the Moon, Circle of the Sea, and Circle of the Stars.
Yeah, and we got some great sources lined up, mostly drawing from RPGBOT. Today, they've got some really detailed guides.
Yeah.
We're looking at their stuff on the Moon and Sea subclasses, their general Druid class guide, and even some direct comparisons, 2014 versus 2024 rules for the Druid.
Perfect. So the mission today really is to get to the core of these three Druid circles. Figure out what makes them tick, what their strengths are, maybe some weaknesses, and just like what they feel like to play.
Exactly. Because maybe you're thinking about rolling up a new Druid, or you've got an old one you need to update.
Or you're just curious. It's a classic class, and seeing how it changes is always interesting.
Totally. We want to hit those aha moments, the surprising bits that make you feel like you get it without just drowning in rules text.
Yeah, keep it focused. So where should we start? Moon Druid feels like the classic transformation specialist.
Absolutely. That's the perfect place. If you think Moon Druid, you think wild shape. Like, that's their thing. Using it in combat really effectively.
Right. Not just turning into a mouse to scout. This is about becoming a bear and wading into the fight.
Precisely. And the 2024 rules really lean into this. The circle forms feature, it's right there, level 3, makes it clear. Wild shape is our main combat mode.
And they get access to tougher forms too, right? Higher challenge ratings.
Yeah, significantly higher CRs than other Druids. Starts at CR1 at level 3, scales all the way up to CR6 later on. That's a big power jump.
Okay, but turning into a big beast often means you're kind of easy to hit, doesn't it? Bad AC.
Usually, yes. But Moon Druids get a fix for that now. Their AC in beast form is set 13 plus their wisdom modifier, so it's consistently decent.
Ah, okay. Consistent AC, that's nice.
And they get more durable, too. Temporary hit points. Quite a chunk, actually. 3 times their Druid level every time they wild shape.
3 times. Wow.
Yeah, it adds up. Doesn't make them invincible, the sources point that out, but it definitely helps them stay in the fight longer. You're tough and dangerous.
Now, this is the bit that really caught my eye. Circle of the Moon spells. It's totally new, isn't it?
Completely new for 2024, and it's a game changer, honestly. Moon Druids aren't just claws and teeth anymore.
They can cast spells while wild-shaped?
Yes. They get a specific list of spells they can use in beast form.
Like what kind of spells?
Well, crucially, there's a ranged attack cantrip, Starry Wisp, fills a big gap, since beasts usually can't attack from afar.
Oh, that's smart.
Plus healing spells, so you can still support allies while you're, a dire wolf.
Right.
And some area control, buff for your beast form. It really opens things up tactically.
Okay, that is a huge change. Yeah. And it gets better as they level. Improved circle forms.
Right. That comes online later. You get Lunar Radiance first.
What's that do?
It lets your beast attacks deal radiant damage, which is key because lots of monsters resist normal, non-magical attacks. This bypasses that.
Overcomes resistance. Smart. And increased toughness.
That helps with concentration, adds your wisdom modifier to your constitution saves while you're in beast form.
Oh, nice. So you can keep those concentration spells going even while taking hits.
Exactly. Super important now that you can cast spells in wild shape.
And then there's Moonlight Step. Sounds like teleportation.
Sort of, yeah. It's like a short-range teleport, kind of like Misty Step, but not quite as far.
Okay.
But the big thing is it's not a spell. So you can use it even if you cast a leveled spell that turn, and it works in or out of wild shape.
Oh, wow. That's flexible.
Very. Gives you advantage on your next attack, too. And later, with Lunar Form, they can even bring an ally along for the ride.
So combat role feels like Defender, soaking hits with that AC and temp HP, and Striker, dealing damage with those buffed-up beast attacks.
That sums it up perfectly. They excel at being on the front line in beast form.
But they still have their normal spells if they need them?
Oh, yeah. Always. But there are a couple of things to keep in mind.
Like what?
Well, the number of beast forms is limited. Only 4 to start, and you can only swap one out per long rest.
Okay. Is that a big problem?
The analysis suggests maybe not too bad, because you'll probably focus on 6 key forms between CR1 and 3 for a lot of the game anyway, but something to be aware of.
Gotcha. And concentration is still key.
Still absolutely crucial, especially with the new spell options.
So for people familiar with the old rules, the 2014 version, what are the biggest takeaways for the changes?
Okay, quick rundown. Wild Shape is a bonus action now. That's huge for everyone.
Right.
Moon Druid AC is fixed at 13 plus Wisdom. Standardized temp HP based on level.
Okay.
Primal Strike is gone, replaced by improved Circle Forms, which does more. Elemental Wild Shape is replaced by Moonlight Step.
More versatile?
Yeah. And Thousand Forms is now Lunar Form. And, of course, the massive addition is the Circle of the Moon spells. That's the big headline change.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's shift gears then. Circle of the Sea. This one's brand new for 2024.
Totally new. It takes some watery themes we've seen hinted at before, maybe in land druid variants, but makes it a whole dedicated subclass.
What's the core idea? A tidebender?
Kinda, yeah. It's supposed to be a melee druid, using this water emanation around them to damage and push enemies.
Sounds cool. Very thematic. How does it work? Key features.
Well, they get a spell list, Circle of the Sea spells. The sources say it's a bit hit or miss, some situational stuff, a decent cantrip with damage, and a slow effect.
Okay.
Later, they get a good summon spell and a save or suck spell. But the real core feature is Wrath of the Sea.
Wrath of the Sea. Sounds intense.
It's meant to be. It's a bonus action. It creates this damaging water aura around you. Lasts 10 minutes.
Nice duration.
And it tries to push enemies away if they fail a Constitution save.
Battlefield control.
Yeah.
Pushing them off cliffs.
Exactly. Or into hazards or just away from your squishy friends. That's the idea.
Constitution saves. Aren't those usually pretty high for monsters?
That's the main criticism, yeah. The sources really highlight that. Many monsters, especially tougher ones, have good con saves, so that push effect might not be super reliable.
And you said it's an aura. Do you need to be right next to them?
At first, yeah. The radius is small early on, so you're definitely in melee range. Risky for a druid without heavy armor.
Does it get better?
It does. Level 6, Aquatic Affinity, increases the radius, makes it a bit safer. Also gives you a swim speed, which is thematic.
Okay, but it still uses your bonus action every turn you want the damage, right?
Well, you activate it as a bonus action, and it lasts 10 minutes. The push effect happens when creatures enter or start their turn there. But yeah, activating it takes the bonus action, which can compete with other things, like, Wild Shape or some spells.
So it's aiming for this melee striker controller role, but maybe struggles with reliability on the control part and needs to get close.
That seems to be the assessment. It's a cool concept, but might need some careful tactics or maybe a lenient DM regarding that con save. As one source mentioned, potentially swapping it to dexterity.
Interesting thought. What about later features? Stormborn and Oceanic Gift.
Stormborn comes later, gives you flight and resistance to lightning, cold, and acid damage while Wrath of the Sea is active. That's a nice boost to survival and mobility.
Flight is always good.
Always. An Oceanic Gift is really unique. You spend a Wild Shape use to give an ally the benefits of your Wrath of the Sea, the damage, the push, even the flight and resistances from Stormborn later on.
Oh, wow. So you could buff up your party's fighter or barbarian.
Exactly. Let them be the watery whirlwind for a bit. It's a really cool support option, uses a resource you might not be using as much in this subclass anyway.
So Circle of the Sea. Sounds like a distinct, aggressive druid style. Maybe a bit tricky to pull off perfectly, but definitely unique.
Yeah, it's trying to carve its own niche. Very different from Moon or the next one we should talk about.
All right, let's do it. From the sea to the sky, Circle of the Stars. This one always sounded really cool thematically.
It really is. Super evocative. The core idea is drawing power from constellations, yeah. For damage, healing, support, all channeled through starry magic.
Less physical transformation, more cosmic power.
Exactly. They start strong with Star Map, gives you the guidance cantrip for free, always useful.
Oh yeah, guidance is great.
And you get Guiding Bolt. But here's the kicker. You get free casts per day equal to your wisdom modifier.
Free guiding bolts. That's fantastic. Good damage, and it gives advantage.
Yep. And since they're free, you don't burn spell slots you might need for, say, healing. Big boost early on.
Okay, that's a strong start. But the main thing is starry form, right?
That's the heart of it, yeah. It's a transformation, but not into a beast. You activate it as a bonus action, choose one of 3 constellations.
What are the options?
You've got the Archer, which gives you a bonus action range spell attack 1d8 plus Wisdom Radiant damage, consistent damage output.
Nice.
Then the Chalice. This one buffs your healing spells. When you cast a healing spell, you can heal another creature nearby for a little bit extra.
Enhances the healer roll.
Definitely. And finally, the Dragon form. This one's about defense and concentration. It guarantees you roll at least a 10 on concentration checks.
Well, minimum 10.
Minimum 10, also on intelligence and wisdom checks. And later, at level 10, the Dragon form gives you a fly speed too.
Okay, that's incredibly flexible. Damage, healing support, or concentration protection. Just pick what you need.
That's the beauty of it. The sources really stress that tactical choice, which form is best right now, at least until level 10.
Why until level 10?
Well, we'll get to that. But first, there's also Cosmic Omen.
Right. Another feature. What's that?
It's a reaction. You can use it a number of times per day, again, based on your wisdom mod. It lets you influence rolls.
How so?
2 modes, Wheel and Woe. Wheel lets you add 100 in d6 to an ally's attack or save. Woe lets you subtract 1d6 from an enemy's attack or save.
Like a mini bardic inspiration or cutting words?
Kinda, yeah. Really useful for clutch moments.
Okay, so back to level 10. What happens then?
Level 10 brings Twinkling Constellations. First, it just buffs the forms. Archer does more damage. Chalice heals more. Dragon gets that flight we mentioned.
Okay, standard power-up.
But the huge part is, you can now change your active constellation at the start of each of your turns for free. No action required.
Wait, really? So you can go from Archer damage one turn to Chalice healing the next?
Instantly. Total adaptability. You just shift modes as the battle flows. It's incredibly powerful.
Wow, okay. That makes the decision-making way more dynamic.
Absolutely. And then at 14... Full of Stars gives you temporary HP at the start of your turn while you're in starry form. Just adds some nice extra resilience.
So Star Druid looks like a fantastic blaster with Archer, a solid healer with Chalice, and a great supporter with Dragon and Cosmic Omen. Super versatile.
That nails it. They can really pivot to whatever the party needs. The main things are just managing the uses of starry form per short rest and making those constellation choices, especially after level 10.
Seems like a really strong and engaging subclass. Okay, so we've covered Moon, Sea, and Stars in detail. What about the general Druid changes in 2024? Things that affect all of them.
Right. Yeah, there are some important base class updates. Weapon proficiencies, for instance.
What changed there?
They now just get simple weapons proficiency. No more automatic scimitars like in 2014.
Ah, okay. And armor?
Armor's interesting. They lose medium armor proficiency by default.
Ooh, that could hurt early on.
It could, yeah. But the old restriction against wearing metal armor, that's gone completely.
Oh, so if you get medium or heavy armor proficiency from somewhere else, like your race or maybe that new feature,
Yeah,
you can wear metal.
exactly. More freedom there, potentially.
What about Druidic, the secret language?
Still there, but slightly different. You now automatically get speak with animals prepared all the time, which is nice.
Yeah, very thematic.
But spotting Druidic messages now uses an intelligence investigation check, not wisdom perception.
Yeah, shift to intelligence. Could be tricky for some Druid builds.
Might be, yeah, if you dump intelligence.
And you mentioned a new feature at level 1, Primal Order.
Yes, this is a big choice right at the start. You pick an order.
What are the options?
Magician gives you an extra cantrip, and you add your wisdom bonus to Arcana and Nature checks.
Okay, good for the caster skill-focused Druid.
Right. Or you pick Warden, which gives you medium armor proficiency and martial weapon proficiency.
Ah, so that's how you could get medium armor back.
Precisely. Though the sources kind of lean towards Magician being better for most Druids, since they don't usually get things like extra attack to really benefit from martial weapons. But Warden opens up build options, definitely.
And spellcasting itself. Any tweaks?
Minor one, but useful. You can swap out one known cantrip when you gain a Druid level. More flexibility as you grow.
Good QL change. Now, the big one, wild shape overall. We talked about Moon Druid specifics, but what about for everyone else?
Okay, biggest change across the board. Bonus action activation for all Druids.
We mentioned that, yeah. Huge speed increase.
Makes it way easier to use in combat or on the fly. You can also use it again without reverting back to humanoid form first.
Okay, any downsides?
Some new limitations, yeah. All Druids now have a limit of 4 known forms. You pick 4 beasts you know how to turn into.
Only 4. And you can only swap 1 per long rest, like the Moon Druid.
Yep, same deal. And for non-Moon Druids, the initial forms are limited to CR 14 and no flying speed allowed. Burrowing or swimming is okay, though.
So easier to activate, but more limited in form choice and power for non-Moon Druids.
That seems to be the trade-off, yeah. You get 2 uses per short rest to start, scaling up to 4 later.
Gotcha. What about Wild Companion? Is that standard now?
Yeah, it's basically the Tasha's optional feature baked in. Spend a wild shape use, get a temporary familiar. Good utility.
Okay. And there were some new features later on, Wild Resurgence.
Yeah, level 5 Wild Resurgence is great. Lets you burn spell slots to regain wild shape uses.
Oh, perfect for Moon Druids.
Exactly. And vice versa for Moon and Spores Druids, burn wild shape for slots. For other Druids, it lets them regain 1 first-level spell slot once per day by burning a wild shape use. Adds flexibility either way.
Nice resource management tool.
And Elemental Fury. Level 7, it's kind of like the Cleric's Blessed Strikes. Adds a bit of extra elemental damage once per round, either to a spell or a weapon attack, depending on choices you make. Just a nice, consistent damage boost.
Okay. And finally, the capstone. Archdruid at level 20? How's that changed? No more infinite wild shape.
Nope. Infinite Wild Shape is gone. It's reworked.
How so?
It's now got 2 parts. Evergreen Wild Shape gives you 1 use back if you're empty when you roll initiative, so you always have at least 1 for the start of a fight.
Ah, okay. Less infinite, more reliable.
Right. And Nature Magician lets you spend Wild Shape uses during a short rest to regain higher level spell slots.
Oh, interesting. So even a Moon Druid might save a wild shape used out of combat to get back a big spell slot.
Exactly. The sources suggest this makes it really powerful for sustained adventuring, focusing on resource management rather than just spamming forms.
Okay, wow. Lots of changes there. So bringing it all together, the 2024 Druid feels diverse.
Very diverse. Moon is still the premier shapeshifter, now tougher and can cast spells.
Sea is this new, potentially tricky melee waterbender.
Right. And Stars is just incredibly versatile, damage, healing, support, all adaptable.
And the base class updates. Bonus action wild shape for everyone, primal orders for customization, new resource tools. It feels like they really wanted to make the Druid more dynamic at all levels.
I think so too. Clearer subclass roles, more engaging base class features. It looks like a really solid update.
All right, so as we rack up, here's something to chew on. With these big shifts, especially to wild shape and those primal orders, how do you think the Druid's role in a typical party might change?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Could we see different builds, different tactics becoming more common?
I think we definitely could. That bonus action wild shape for everyone. Maybe more druids use it for quick utility or repositioning, even if they aren't moon druids.
Yeah, like a quick transformation to squeeze through a gap or get a burst of movement.
Exactly. And the primal orders. Maybe warden druids multi-classing with martial classes becomes a bit more viable. Or magician druids doubling down on skills and spellcasting support.
It feels like it opens up possibilities beyond just the healer who sometimes turns into a bear.
For sure. It could lead to some really interesting party dynamics and maybe some unexpected character concepts emerging. Definitely something fun to think about.
Absolutely. So for everyone listening, we really encourage you to dig into these details yourself. Check out the spell lists, think about races and backgrounds, and figure out which druid path clicks with you.
Yeah, what stories do you want to tell? Which style feels right?
Let us know what you think. What surprised you most about the 2024 Druid? Any aha moments for you? We'd love to hear about them.
Definitely. Until next time, keep exploring.
Keep diving deep.